Welcome to Horror Madness with Deb and Dana.
Tonight we are doing Nightmare on Elm Street 4.
Yep. Nightmare on Fred Street 4. Freddy's Street.
So,
The Street Master.
alright, so The Dream Master. It is directed by Rennie Harlan. Special effects are by Dream Quest Visuals, which I just thought was weird.
Whoever that is.
I think it's just like Nightmare on Elm Street people, I'm guessing. Like Dream Quest.
Rennie Harlan is his name?
Rennie Harlan is the director.
Who was just hated, apparently. And then the movie came out, and they were like, oh, no, dude. It's like, yeah, we've hated the shit out of you this entire time, but, like, yeah, that wasn't bad. It's not.
This is a fan favorite of Freddy fans.
It's not a good movie. It's also we watch so many horror movies.
We do, but like I was talking to Final Girl 91. This is her favorite Nightmare on Elm Street.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, and it is 4 is a fan favorite. And so we decided to do this one because we are getting ready to go to Mad Monster. Woo!
And pretty much the entire cast is going to be there.
Robert Englund, Tuesday Night, Brooke Thies, Toy Newkirk. Danny Hassel won't be there, which is a shame.
I know. I'm going to get to my Danny Hassel story in a minute.
Go ahead and get to it.
No. I have a point.
Oh, okay.
I have a point in which I'm going to tell my Danny Hassel story.
I will say this music in this movie is like quintessential 80s.
I would say. I always start off with music. I always start off strong with music. I'm a big music guy. There is no soundtrack that exists that I hate more than this soundtrack.
Really? It is quintessential 80s.
It is the shittiest shit that ever shat in the 80s. Like, I love 80s music. I love good 80s music. I even love like one-hit wonder bullshit minute work. Like you know, I'm goth, I'm industrial, like everything started from stuff in the 80s, you know. I'm not talking about Skinny Puppy or even anything like that, but you know, like Men at Work, Flock of Seagulls, like The Cure. I think The Cure counts there. Like, there's just so much music that I love from the 80s. But I remember growing up. I remember being alive in the 80s and hating 99% of everything that was in the radio. And I think that's a weird thing to be my age and be like, oh, no, I remember listening to the radio all day, every day, because we didn't have phones or anything, and I was in a music family. So, like, I like, listened to the radio every day. And, like, every 20th song was, like, The Cure or Flock of Seagulls, which I did think sucked at the time. But most of what was on the radio was the most god-awful trash in the history of mankind. And this entire soundtrack is just like, man, can we pay somebody $3 to just like pretend like they're doing a 80s song that they spent 30 seconds to produce a 4-minute song? This soundtrack,
It's quintessential 80s. It's 80s pop to the extreme.
It's not. It's 80s garbage to the extreme. It is unlistenable. I'm sorry, Final Girl. If you love the soundtrack, I'm so sorry. Anybody also, like, listen to some music. It is the worst soundtrack in the history of movies.
It is quintessential 80s.
Oh, I don't even think it's quintessential. It's just bad.
I wanted to look up who sang
bad.
the Running from This Nightmare song because it was real bad.
Nobody?
And I never did.
You never looked up who did it?
No.
It does. I don't think it matters.
I don't think it matters.
Some
which is
nobody
why,
band that no one ever listened to, and they're terrible. You couldn't make worse music than the soundtrack to this. And, like, honest to God, I guess people can be like, younger people that didn't live through the 80s could be like, but it's 80s music, so I dig it. Like, no, it's terrible. It's garbage. Like, straight up every song on the soundtrack, throw it in the trash can. That's where it belongs. It is the worst music ever made. It's not Skinny Puppy and The Cure or even poppy, good 80s music. It is just the trashiest trash that was ever made in the 80s. I don't even know what genre it is. It's not quite pop. It's certainly not like metal. It's definitely not rock. It's just stuff no one should have ever made and no one should have ever been subjected to listening to. And I feel that that's a hill I'll die on. I don't think I've ever heard a worse soundtrack, period, than this movie. Like, 5 is just as bad. 5 isn't better. It's just as bad. Yeah. But, like, I think 4 stands the test of time as the absolute, without question, worst soundtrack I've ever heard in my life. And, like, out of our, like, 5 listeners, we just lost a half of one. They were like, oh, my God, I'm going to turn it off. They're talking shit about 80s. I'm not talking shit about 80s music. This soundtrack is trash.
Moving on from the soundtrack.
Moving on.
There are some heavy opinions.
Heavy. Here. I've never hated a soundtrack more than this movie.
I feel like this movie starts real slow.
Does it?
But once the killing starts, it's like every minute or two someone dies. I mean, I gave up on my kill count.
You felt like it started slow?
Yeah.
How? What was slow about the beginning even? So we got the dream house drawing on the ground.
Which
is like 20 seconds.
So I don't know. Is that the same beginning as 3, or have we just watched 4?
No, it's 5.
It's the same 5. Beginning as 5. I was going to say, I feel like I've watched that beginning 10,000 times, and I don't think I've seen this movie 10,000 times.
Just because of Danny Hassel. We just keep watching 4 and 5 because of Danny Hassel.
We love Danny Hassel.
We're about to get to that.
The beginning has a great nightmare scene, and the house looks great. Oh, I did want to say the trike rolling down the stairs is crazy because a trike is a tricycle is a trope that's commonly used in horror movies. Shining, Saw, Art the Clown, a tricycle. But you don't ever see trikes that are just thrown down the stairs. So in the beginning, she's having a nightmare, and there's a trike, and
where'd she live?
On Elm Street.
Oh my God! Wow, that's wild. That's wild.
But the trike is just thrown down the stairs, and I thought it was cool that it was thrown down the stairs in a different way.
That's so wild to me that I just we just watched this. I don't remember that even happening.
It's in the very first scene.
So
she's having a nightmare. It's not even.
And she's drawing the chalk drawing, and her older self shows up and is like, "Well, whose house is that?" And she's like, "It's Freddy's house, but nobody lives there, or he's not home."
And she walks into the house, and there's a trike that is thrown down the stairs.
So that seems pretty actiony. So how did that bored you though? You're bored by that? So
I think maybe because we've watched this movie so many times in the last couple of years.
My big thing about liking this movie is how not boring it is.
I think it is honestly just like the chalk drawing and
then you got the Freddy nursery rhyme that is the only banger in this movie.
It is a banger.
Is the Freddy nursery rhyme that is 5 seconds at the very beginning.
Oh, but you said the house looks great too.
Yeah, no, the inside of the house looks absolutely amazing. The set design and stuff for that house is
literally
wild.
It was
on
amazing.
Par with Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1 and 2 stuff, and I should have looked that up. I didn't look that up. maybe it was made by the same dude who does those interiors in Texas
So,
Chainsaw. I don't
mean,
know.
I thought
Maybe not. Might be wrong. I'm always
thought
wrong.
this movie was shot beautifully, and
It is.
the set design was amazing on this movie.
Yeah. Then we get the Dream Warriors from the most popular, I think.
3, yes.
3. The Dream Warriors. They're all washed up. And they all die, so they don't matter.
Also, why does this bitch keep pulling people into her dreams?
So that's a thing from later that I'm just gonna pull up here now.
Okay.
Freddy is the most. Nightmare on Elm Street movies are like the most don't matter. You just die. Like you might get 2 movies, but motherfucker, you're gonna die.
You're
like,
gonna die. No, he's
doesn't-
brutal.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, it's wild. I guess a lot of franchises, but like I don't think Final Girls have been changed more than Freddy movies. Even though I think a lot of them are supposed to be the same person, it doesn't make any sense because like Freddy movies just don't make sense. So then old girl gets bit by the dog that she pulled into her own dream.
Yeah.
But then when she gets out, she's bleeding and the dog's mouth's
Covered in blood.
If that can happen, you could pull Freddy out. Oh, wait, no, that's the plot of 9 movies. Like, literally every movie, and it never works, and everyone just dies.
Yeah, everyone is always going to die when Freddy is involved, and that's what makes, he says, I am eternal.
Yeah, and, you know, he is, but, like, I feel like back in these days, he wasn't. They just kept being like, oh, well, they kill him at the end of every movie. And I think at the end of every movie, they're like, yeah, that's it. Freddy's dead. Oh, wait, that made a bunch of money. We got to make another one. He came back to life. And we have to kill everybody that was in the last movie that was left alive.
Yeah. I want to know why all dudes in 80s movies look alike.
Well, so that was a thing. It was dudes and chicks, like 80s movies just loved to be like, all right, we're making this amazing movie. We need 5 blonde-haired women that are 5'5" with blue eyes that are all wearing almost the same outfit, and their names are even very close to each other, so that you never know what's happening. Is like an 80s, like it's not even a trope. It's just like.
It's just what they did.
They made movies poorly then?
Yeah, I guess so.
So, in this movie, we have Danny Hassel
As Dan.
as Dan. We have dude that looks exactly like Danny Hassel with crazy hair
As Rick.
as Rick. And then we've got dude that goes into the diner with Danny Hassel that looks identical to Danny Hassel, but just with like lighter brown hair, who isn't really in the movie and doesn't really matter. But do we need 3 guys that look identical to each other?
No. I mean, now they look different.
Do they? I haven't seen Rick.
I looked him up and compared him to what I
Looks
know
exactly like Danny Hassel,
He
and his hair's
doesn't.
a little bit more messed up. Oh, he doesn't anymore?
He does not. Yeah.
Well, I mean, so Rick.
Danny's such a cool guy.
Also, I'm not sure that Rick isn't a Estevez brother.
He's not? Oh,
I looked it up. He's not related to Charlie Sheen or Emilio Estevez, even though he does the Japanese karate scene that's just like, I know it's
what
not
is
a fact.
Karate Kid?
This is just me saying things. This is speculation. This is for entertainment purposes. I know Charlie Sheen woke up every day of his life for no less than 20 years of his life and just like did karate like that in his bedroom with a Japanese headband on and stuff.
He doesn't look like Danny Hassel now.
No, he doesn't. Oh, Danny did way better.
Yeah, Danny did.
Yeah, good job, Danny.
Way to go, Danny. We love you.
Man, yeah, we love you, dude. Like straight up, I'm about to get to that really soon.
I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for it.
Oh, it's so very, very beginning of the movie. I'm burning through these notes pretty fast, though.
Yeah.
So, we're gonna slow it down a little bit.
Oh, slow it down.
They walk into that diner the first time. Oh, the Crave Inn.
The Craven! I love that.
That is shown many times, the outer sign, but there's only one time when they're the very first time that you can see that it's called the Crave Inn.
I love it.
You know, Craven. But, like, the rest of the movie, they show that same front a bunch of times, but you can just see, like, the last couple words and in. Yeah, it's just like in, like, you can't see the whole thing.
That's a very well done homage.
And Danny Hassel walks in. And I don't even remember who it was. They're like, oh, who's this major hunk? Or are you getting hit on by this major hunk? Guess what? Deborah here. This Deborah, right here.
Right here. Hi.
Deb from Horror Madness had a weird experience in her life where she was getting hit on by a huge hunk.
I'm so
It turned out to be one of the best nights of my entire life. I don't think Danny Hassel will ever actually listen to this, ever, under any circumstances. All that matters, I'm not really talking shit, but I'm going to tell you the story.
Oh, no.
So I'm inside. That's why we do podcasts.
I know.
I'm going to tell you the whole story.
I'm so embarrassed.
The whole story. It was great. So I'm inside, and I'm at the bar, the little hotel bar. And I was hanging out with the bartender, and, like, his friend was there, and, like, we were having fun, and we were talking, and, like, you know, everything was, like, cool as hell. And we were having a good-ass time. And I could see Deb through the window.
I went outside to smoke.
But, like, I wasn't paying any attention because, like, I was having a good time. Deb was outside doing whatever she was doing, having a good time. Yeah. So, I had been in there, I was talking, and dude was like, yeah, man, I'm about to get off work and stuff. And then, like, oh, that's when he told me the story.
Oh, don't tell.
The hotel story?
Yeah, no, that story. The
yeah.
on the walls.
Yeah. He was telling me stories of all the times. Yeah, well, it was still during that time period. You were coming in and out, and I just stayed in. It was just like, yeah, dude, this insane stuff that you probably shouldn't repeat on a podcast happened over here. And I was like, wow, dude, no way. So I was like all into his stories. He was telling me some of the most, I've been a hotel bartender for 10 years, like crazy, insane stories I've ever heard in my life. And Deb was like going outside and chilling. And at one point, Deb comes back in and she goes, there's this dude out here. And, like, he's hitting on me hard. You should probably, like, I don't know, like, come out here or something because this dude just, like, won't leave me alone. And I was like, I was drinking and I was hanging out with bartender dude. And I was like, okay, Deb, I'm sure it's fine. Like, I'll be there in a minute. So Deb goes back outside and she sits back down at her table. And I open the door to go outside. So I'm like, oh my God, Deb's sitting next to Danny Hassel. That's the wildest thing ever. So like I walked over and I was like, Deb, who's bothering you? And she's like, this guy. And I was like, Deb, that's Danny Hassel.
And I was like, what the fuck?
She had zero fucking clue. Zero fucking clue. Also, like, I think Danny was just hanging out and Deb was, I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't know what happened. She wasn't offended by anything. Absolutely nothing was bad. But he
was cool as fuck.
And but she came in and she was like, this dude I don't know is like hitting on me, I think. And I was like, okay, do I need to do something? And she was like, no, like, it's fine, but, like, he's just hitting on me.
And I was like, hit on by that major hunk.
That major hunk was hitting on my wife. That major hunk, who was a major hunk. And
he was. I think he was just friendly. He probably wasn't hitting on me. That's probably my ego. He was being super cool and super fucking friendly, and I loved every moment that I talked to him. Like.
And then Deb made new friends and went off and started talking to people. And I'm not kidding. I had probably the deepest, best conversation I have ever had in my life. And like, it had nothing to do with movies or anything. We were talking about being raised, and like, I'm not going to say too much because I don't know what he would want everybody to know, because he was drunk as fuck and I was drunk as fuck. But like, we had like just the way we were raised. He was in the military. We were in the military. Yeah. Like, that was the biggest part of it, probably.
The military.
We just like, we spent like an hour just like bullshitting about like, you know, military experience. Yeah. Nothing crazy or anything, but just like, sometimes it is such a wonderful release to just talk to a stranger that was also in the military and just like get to chill with somebody and just like talk to somebody. And I think like Danny was like, wow, man, I only talk about being in movies and stuff. And like, I hit him with the fucking, what up, dude? How were you raised? Like, what did you do after the movies and stuff? And he was like, yeah, man, you know, this and this happened growing up. And I was like, no shit. Like, that's like identical to how I grew up. And then he was like, yeah, man, I did the military. And I was like, no shit, you're in the military? And he was like, yeah, and started showing me pictures of him in the military and stuff. He was in the Army, right? Or was he a Marine?
No,
he was a Marine,
he was a Marine.
Yeah. But he was showing me like Marine pictures and shit from back in the day. And I was showing him my pictures. I'm not kidding.
Like, it was 2, 3, 4 in the morning.
It was hours and hours of one of the best conversations I've ever had with another human in my life. And at one point, one of Danny's handlers came up and was like, hey, Danny, like, are you okay? You want to go do something? And he was like, I haven't vibed with somebody like this in so long. Go away. And I was like, fuck yeah, dude, me too.
Danny Hassel was one of the most amazing humans we've ever met. And I hope we meet him again. And
yeah,
Danny is a cool guy.
We were chugging shots. I don't know. Maybe he's sober. We were just hanging out. I was chugging shots.
We're chugging shots.
And like, we had, man, it was seriously one of the greatest conversations I ever had in my life. Nothing about acting or Hollywood or Friday the 13th was ever brought up.
It was real life shit. It was amazing.
It was wonderful. He's a great fucking dude.
He is a great fucking dude.
Absolutely. Love that guy.
Alice's dad is an asshole, and the dog's name is Jason. Yeah. I don't like when dogs have human names. I'm sorry if your dog has a human name. It weirds me out.
I don't like when movies...
Gordon, Bob, Jason.
I don't like when movies from the 80s aren't starring Mushroom.
Yeah, Mushroom is such a great dog. I love Mushroom.
Mushroom was available.
I love Mushroom the dog.
He was alive and available when this movie was made.
Gremlins,
for sure.
Pumpkinhead. I don't even know what other movie.
I bet there's more. Mushroom is the greatest dog actor of all time. Now. Fuck, what's his name? The fucking Bartholomew? The goddamn Beethoven.
Oh, Beethoven.
Anyway, so Mushroom shouldn't have been snubbed. Mushroom should be in way more 80s films. He's like Bart the Bear. Every bear movie from like 1980 to like 1999, the bear was Bart the Bear.
Oh.
From the 80s movie, The Bear. When he was just like a little bear cub.
So, I think the scene when they're in the junkyard and they call Freddy back.
And them bones gonna walk.
Them bones! It looks really fucking cool. I thought they did a good job.
I think that's one of the best parts of this movie.
And the way the bones,
the practical effects and stuff aren't the top of the line best things I've ever seen. But they're not far off either. Like, they are pretty goddamn good. Like, they're really good.
Even the sound effects. So the bones click, like the vertebrae click when they're coming together, and it sounds cool. Like they're like click, 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 click,
Yeah,
click,
it's
click,
not
click.
just that standard bone
Yeah.
sound that every single solitary movie that's come out for 30 years does the exact same bone sound when
Yeah.
somebody bends over backwards. And it's just like, God, can someone just record a new bone sound at least?
We need a new bone sound.
Like huge budget, like multi-million-dollar movies are just like, nope, here's the same Foley effect bone sound that you've heard 9,000 times
This
in
wasn't
every
it.
movie made for the last 30 years. This was, I think, probably before that sound was invented, and everyone was just like, yeah, we're only using this exact bone sound in every movie that's ever going to be made ever again. And like, I don't know, that's supposed to somehow still be scary. It's like the Wilhelm scream at this point.
Oh, it is.
Like, so when I was a young teenager, I thought the Wilhelm scream was like the coolest thing ever. And at this point, just like, stop doing it. It's nostalgic. It doesn't ever need to be in another movie ever. And neither does that exact same bone clicking sound ever need to be in another movie that's ever made. Go snap some new carrots.
But this one sounded good, and I liked it.
Yeah,
and the vertebrae came together perfectly, and I thought it was a really awesome scene.
Yeah, it is.
And then Kincaid died, and that was the first death. And then it was just death after death after death after death.
That was a big thing that I felt about, that I thought was like the best part about this movie, and you saying it's boring just completely goes against what I'm saying.
The first 5 minutes were slow, and then I said once the dying starts, it's.
I didn't even think that. So I this entire movie is like 1 to 2 minute scenes that are just like nonstop. It's like 1 to 2 minutes, never ending 1 to 2 minutes. When that you don't even know a scene is happening before the next scene has started.
I felt that way.
I feel like including the beginning. I don't understand how you were bored by the beginning at all.
I just said it was slow. I didn't say I was bored. I said it was a little slow to start, and that after the killing started, it was insane. So Freddy says, "You shouldn't have buried me. I'm not dead." I will say, Freddy is known for his one-liners. And he had a few good ones in this movie. I feel like they weren't as good as they were in the other films. He had the one that was like, "How's this for a wet dream?" And that was amazing with the waterbed. It's never a good idea to have a waterbed in a world where Freddy exists. Like, I had a waterbed in the 90s.
So
I loved my fucking waterbed.
He had a couple of bangers in the.
He did, but other movies, every word out of his mouth.
I think you're misremembering.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure in every Freddy movie ever made, he has a couple of good ones and 6 or 7 terrible ones, and people just remember the good ones.
And
we also didn't just watch every Freddy movie. We only watched this one. So, like, I think even like his biggest one-liners, I think there are 7 or 8 terrible puns that no one laughed at, even in his best of movies, which, like, I don't even know what his best of movies is or could be. Like, one's great.
Yes, I think everything out of his mouth.
No.
Okay,
No,
I could be wrong.
No,
it's been a minute since I watched.
He has a few bangers and says 10 things that like aren't funny that you just forget immediately, just like this movie. Like, this is not his best one-liner movie. But
that's all I was saying. Was
couple
like,
of fine ones.
"How's this for a wet dream?" That was a great line. With the waterbed.
I mean, it was just a shitty pun.
Yeah, it was, but that's what he's known for.
But I think he did have a couple. I haven't gotten to them in my notes yet. I think he has a couple of like actually like, wow, that was witty and good, and not just like the obvious pun.
Yeah.
But I guess we're down to the waterbed scene. That was. I think that's a big part of why this is a fan favorite and why it's important is it's creative. Like there's so much creative shit in this movie.
So Freddy always jumps out of bed.
Starting there. Yeah.
The waterbed
scene. You got water beds and like and back then, if you were alive back then, which probably nobody that ever listens to this was. I was. Yeah. Everyone had water beds. And they were kind of terrifying apart from Jason just because, like, you could just drown at night or something.
A hole? Your bed got a hole in it? You were done for.
So I think an important thing here that I want to say. We listened to, what's it called?
Oh, that was pretty scary.
That was pretty scary. We listened to that a lot. And Freddie Prinze says he doesn't smoke cigarettes. I don't know. Probably don't believe that. Whatever. You live your life, Freddie. It's cool. I think. So he has a thing where he's always like, oh my God, cool. they lit a cigarette and it looked so cool and it made me want to light up a cigarette. So I think Freddie Prinze, not
Krueger,
would be so disappointed in this movie. Because there's so many times someone lights a cigarette and it just doesn't get lit.
I guess she wasn't really a smoker, and
no, it happens multiple times in the movie where they have a cigarette in their mouth that is not on fire and is not being smoked, and they're just like kind of holding it like they've never touched a cigarette before, and like will put it towards their mouth but not even attempt to inhale or anything.
Yeah, it was a little bit crazy.
Yeah, so I think Freddie Prinze would be real, like, not okay with that. Even though he's, according to him, not a cigarette smoker, he thinks it looks real cool when you smoke cigarettes, which also could be an issue. Freddie, you should quit saying that. Somebody will cancel you for it. It's 2025. But we love you. So then we got...
the beach scene.
Oh, no, that is... I'm nowhere near that.
Oh, okay, so you go.
Goodness, Deb, you and your notes recently.
I was enjoying the movie.
So we're like still back up at the diner and stuff where...
Yeah, the Craven Diner.
Yeah, where we find out that Danny Hassel's name is Dan.
And
he's got his friend that looks identical to him, who's not actually in the movie again, but he looks so much like Danny Hassel and other dude that like you couldn't possibly know which one's which because they're just like triplets. It's ridiculous. And then we get the it's not a haunted house, it's a haunted home.
That's how I feel about our
which
house.
Isn't exactly. She says it's not just a haunted house, it's Freddy's home. But I was just like, God almighty, is everyone that says that kind of shit just stolen from this movie and no one realizes it? It's not a haunted house, it's a haunted home. All right, now I'm at the beach now.
Yeah, dream someplace fun. I wish that actually worked.
Are you reading my notes over my finger?
No,
you get that too?
Yeah.
Oh my God, we both, independently of each other. I mean, I guess we live in Myrtle Beach, so like, I don't know, whatever. Beaches aren't fun. Like, you can have fun at a beach, but just like burning on a beach by yourself isn't fun.
No.
Like, there's nothing fun. That was the most boring looking beach in the history of mankind. She wasn't like out in the water, like having fun. She was just sitting in uncomfortable sand.
I don't know. I also think I would try to think of not someplace fun, but someplace real safe.
I think.
And the beach?
Yeah, the beach is just
Jaws existed at this point in time.
The last place? No way, did it? I would have never known when Jaws Freddy happens.
How was that? What do you think I was leading up to with that?
Yeah, so we
The
got Jaws
not
Freddy.
Shark
Which is,
Freddy
like, one
with
of
the
coolest thing in the history
with
of
the
films ever.
almost Jaws music.
They just weren't trying to get sued.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, Freddy Jaws was super cool.
Freddy Jaws was super cool.
And then we've got the 80s Quicksand.
Oh my god. Oh, I had that in my notes, but I deleted it.
So did anyone that's listening to this podcast or on live, we're not going to look at your comment, but did you ever get sucked up by quicksand? Yeah. No one did.
All the movies.
Yeah, every movie I think it was like from the 60s to the 80s. Every movie had quicksand. Quicksand's
Never-ending
not a
story.
thing. I mean, it's
The
not a
Princess
thing, but like
Bride.
if you got caught in quicksand,
Freddy.
you would just like get out of it and be fine.
Growing up, I think I was scared to come visit my grandma here because, like,
You're worried about the quicksand?
I was worried about the fucking quicksand. Like,
There's no quicksand.
I thought it was going to be a huge issue in my life.
There's no quicksand. There is quicksand. It does exist.
Does it actually?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been to the desert.
I think 0 people have ever died in it. But like, yeah, like you can get sucked. You've walked out on the beach
And
it
got
sucks your
sucked down a
feet
little,
down.
yeah.
Like, so it's like a swamp thing. I think it happens when there's like an underground river running under a swampy area, which
should
isn't
be a concern here in Myrtle Beach.
right. Yeah. There's a lot of that kind of situation here, and still no one dies from it. If someone ever did, and we should Google that, I guess maybe, and to find out if anyone's ever died from quicksand. I'm going no, and if they did, they were like passed out for some reason or had a concussion.
Yes, people have died from quicksand, but it's rare. I love the souls in Freddy's torso.
Yeah, we're not there yet either.
I'm just trying to change the subject, babe.
I think we are. I think that already happened for a second, but not the big scene.
Yeah, no, it was the little scene where you just saw the little souls. It wasn't the big one that we saw.
Oh my god, and there was that. So we have our little recording studio in here, but our recording studio is kind of open to the world. Not the world, but like our kitchen in the hallway. And we want to put up some curtains or something. But like if they were rusty chains, like in the that'd be cool as fuck.
would be.
Pinhead would love it. I'm wearing my Pinhead shirt.
You are.
Yeah. I would really love it if we could just
It also
close this with rusty chains.
also wouldn't do shit.
I mean, like a piece of cloth ain't gonna do anything either.
No. It'll at least
like
cover
rusty
it.
chains would be cool as hell.
They would. Oh, so the first girl that was at the beginning, Kristen, the blonde girl, she gets burnt to death. And then Toy gets the life sucked out of her. Which was a cool scene. I love that.
Oh, the
Did
one
you
with
know-
suck face?
Yes. That was her first kiss.
Come on, Dad.
That's what she talks about. Or it might have been her first on-screen kiss.
It was the 80s. Everyone lied about everything.
Yeah, probably.
Everyone was just liars.
I want to know why Rick fell asleep. Actually, I do know why, because I watched special features. Rick fell asleep on the toilet and dreamt about a karate studio.
I don't know what you're talking about, but sometimes I fall asleep on the toilet and go to a karate studio. Like that's
So, Danny
like
Hassel, lookalike
pretty
Rick,
normal.
falls asleep on the toilet and he starts dreaming of a karate studio, which is fair.
Yeah,
He's a
that's
karate kid.
pretty normal. So what do you need to know about that?
And he got stabbed by nothing.
But
Invisible
you said
Freddy.
What I want to know is
Why he fell asleep and went to a karate studio.
you've never fallen asleep on the toilet?
I've never went to a karate studio.
But you're not that into karate. Rick was.
I don't think I've ever fallen asleep on the toilet.
Rick was really into karate. I think anywhere he fell asleep at any point in time, like he was dreaming about karate.
So the original scene was supposed to be much more complex and involve the elevator that he's in, but they ran out of money, so they went with Invisible Freddy. I like the final girl in this, Alice. So every death, she changes and absorbs a piece of who died. And it's kind of fucking deep.
Yeah, no, it's
Like,
a good ass.
every death, she also takes a picture off her mirror and can see more of herself as she absorbs pieces of the people who've died, and it's really kind of fucking deep. Every one of them gives her something that she'll need to defeat Freddy. The karate, the robot
it's
thing.
just like Dream Warriors. They have like every power imaginable. It doesn't matter. They all die.
Yeah,
Like,
she didn't though.
Everyone, yes, she does in the next movie. They all die. Just don't fuck with Freddy.
Yeah,
like,
don't
it's
fuck with
ridiculous.
Freddy.
Just leave Freddy the fuck alone. Also, like, I guess your parents killed Freddy, and Freddy is out for revenge.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like after the 9th movie, the parents should have just been like, "Sorry, guys, probably shouldn't have like given birth to you.
Yeah.
It's just over and done, and you're dead, and like there's nothing's coming or going about that. You're fucked." Like maybe we could just kill you now so that Freddy doesn't have to kill you in your dreams because like it's like movie number 7 and like you're gonna die.
There's a cool Groundhog Day situation in this movie.
Oh, I don't know about cool. It was
I
very
liked it.
confusing.
Yeah, no, I thought the movie was fucking up.
I did too for a second. Also, weirdly, we've watched 5 more recently than 4.
Yes.
They're wildly similar movies.
They are. There are some. I kind of like the death scenes in 5 better.
Well, that whole Danny Hassel
Oh, the
motorcycle scene
motorcycle.
is pretty damn banging.
I love that scene. That's exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah. Well, I know the death scenes in this are great.
No, they are. Debbie's death, not mine, was crazy and brutal, and I didn't like it. Just because I don't dig broken bones. I was a medic in the army. I can handle blood. I can handle guts. Broken bones make me queasy. And when she was lifting the weights and her elbows fucking snapped, it made me cringe. And then she turned into a fucking roach.
Yeah, the Kafka scene?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool, and like it was cool but not cool. Like, it was cool. I guess it was an homage. But it was also just like, yeah, dude read Kafka recently. Like, I get it. Like, that's cool. I'm glad you read Kafka a month before you made this movie. Or wrote this movie.
Her death might be my favorite in the movie. It's so good. It's well done, and it's gross as fuck. Yeah. She gets stuck to the Roach Motel glue.
And then he just smashes it, which I thought was a little...
Yeah, no, but everything leading up to it was gross, and the effects were good. And he said, you can check in, but you can't check out.
When the truck hits Invisible Freddy, like, it's all practical effects and stuff. And, like, I guess miniatures? I'm not sure how they did that. I was really looking forward to a commentary, which doesn't exist. I watched all the special features, and there's no, like, real special effects. And there's a little bit of the chest scene and stuff, but like,
it's cool to watch.
Like when they hit Invisible Freddy and crashed the truck into an invisible thing that's not there, I'm not sure. And I don't think anyone even gives a crap about it, but sometimes I'll catch stuff like that and I'm just like, dude, that was wildly great. Like I have no clue how they did that special effect. It's whatever, it's just a, movie magic special effect and stuff, but like I was just like, I'm not sure how they pulled that off. Like, how did that truck hit a thing that crumpled the front of the truck, but you can't see what it hit?
Yeah, it was...
In the 80s. Now it would just be CG, and it would just be, like, super simple to do. It would be, like, whatever. It's like, it would just be a cartoon truck.
No, it was crazy cool.
Yeah, I have no concept of how they hit an invisible thing and crumpled the front of a truck.
Yeah, it was, and it was almost missable. Like,
yeah, I mean,
I noticed it. I didn't take a note on it, but I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, it was super minor, but like I was like looking at it hard, and I was just like, how in the fuck did they do that? That's insane that they pulled that off.
Really?
So I guess reverse, and like as the truck went away, it was a model, and like there was a string attached to it that pulled it back out to regular or something. Like I don't know. That's good job. Good job.
Good
guys.
job.
Good job. Good game. Anyway, and then my last note after that is fucking quit fucking with Freddy because no one wins.
Well, so
That's it.
the torso scene is super cool. It's the ending, and the souls start to come out of him, and Linnea Quigley is in there.
Yeah, there's titties. So
Yeah, Linnea Quigley titties.
Linnea
Of
Quigley
course.
titties because she's all about them titties.
And that,
I ain't mad about it.
so to film that, there was a giant Freddy that was like 20 feet tall, and the actors were actually in the torso, which I think was crazy fucking cool.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, there was a special feature about the way they filmed all that, and it was
people were actually inside of that.
it
And
was super cool.
yeah. And it was also like a series of 20 effects in a 4-minute sequence, which is crazy. And then at the end, she sees Freddy in the water because he keeps coming back. Of course, Freddy's going to be in the water. No, there wasn't a whole other page of notes, babe. That was it. That was it. And I enjoyed this movie, and I enjoyed it every time we watch it.
Freddy 4, Nightmare on Fred Street. Is,
Nightmare on Fred Street.
it's a great movie.
It is.
It's a very good movie. Apart from the soundtrack, if they could have put a single song worth of fuck on that soundtrack, it would be a classic.
So, was I Think We're Alone Now in it, or was that
No,
in
there was
something
not.
else we
There
were
was-
watching?
There was 0 songs.
We
worth
just
listening
watched
to.
something right after it that had I Think We're Alone Now from Tiffany.
I feel like all of the songs in this movie were the Norwegian guy who directed it, just like friends of his in Norway that had bands nobody had ever heard of. It's terrible.
Yeah, it's not great. It sounds very 80s pop-ish,
It doesn't,
but not
even-
good
like,
80s
so
pop, like
there's-
shitty 80s pop.
There's Freddy movies with like 80s garbage music that's like, all right, garbage music. Like there, you know, I love bad music. I love bad movies. It's like the worst music I've ever heard in my life. I'm sorry to repeat that. I feel like it bears repeating.
But it is a great fucking movie.
It is. It's really good. It's shockingly good for like looking at or watching things and reading about how it was made and stuff, and how
The effects were great.
how
yeah.
much the director was doubted by everyone, and how much they were rushing it, and how much like literally no one really gave a shit whether or not this movie got made.
Yeah.
But it turned out to be a damn good movie.
It was a great movie, and we are getting ready to go to Mad Monster, and
Yeah, almost the entire cast.
oh yeah, no,
Everyone that
and
matters.
so that's why we chose this one. We're doing a series leading up to Mad Monster, with people we're seeing. So yeah, like the entire cast is gonna be there. So
Looking forward to that.
yeah, it'll be awesome. It'll be awesome.
Love you, motherfuckers. Good night.
Good night.